Hi, I'm Lily.
And I'm Dan.
And we are
The
Load-In. We're getting better at this.
We are. We've been doing a lot of practice actually over the last few weeks. It's getting
right?
there. And also as well, we've got our new branding. So we're finally getting legit.
Slowly official.
And our podcast is growing.
All right. Well, today we have a very special guest.
We do indeed.
Episode...
I've lost count now.
Yeah,
there's no point counting.
So on a call, we've got Alex Malouf. He's the Corporate Comms Director of Schneider by day and a contributor to Entrepreneur Middle East by night. Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are very welcome. It's really good to speak to you.
Now, did you want to explain why we got him on?
Yeah, I was actually a contributor to Entrepreneur as well, and I was reading through, I'm just going to name drop it, so I was reading through the articles and saw that Alex also contributed, and to be honest, it was one of the standout articles and features from that edition, which really left me very positive and inspired.
Well, it was just a breath of fresh air, wasn't
Completely,
it?
especially
all the doom and gloom.
Well, I was going to say, because there's a lot of doom and gloom within our industry in particular, but also as well, we are facing some economic challenges, and there's a lot that we are all trying to evolve and to get through, I guess.
Well, the words that stood out for me was silver lining, Alex. Like, who doesn't want a good silver lining?
We definitely need it, especially during these times as well. But it goes back to the discussions we've been having with other people and the discussions which we want to put forward into the future is that through any crisis there are opportunities. It may seem quite challenging right now, but we want to shift the conversation now into a positive direction to see how we can adapt and how we can start to salvage and grow our businesses and really contribute to the economy.
So Alex, the title of your article was Silver Linings, What SMEs in Dubai Potentially Stand to Gain from the COVID-19 Crisis. Now, before we start talking about the article, for our viewers out there, can you tell us a little bit about yourself then and sort of let them understand why you're in the right place and position to talk about this topic?
So I have been an entrepreneur a number of times myself. I work in a big corporation, but I have dabbled my hands and followed my passions, probably is the best way to put it. I've set up publications in Saudi. I've done other things as well, sort of agencies. So I really feel what it's like in terms of all of the opportunities and challenges. And now, obviously, there are going to be a lot of challenges. So I wanted to share a slightly different perspective on how we can see the situation and also as well what we all need to do.
That's perfect. Did you want to sort of, what we might do is sort of go through each of your main points in this article, because I think they're incredibly valid and really fresh and great, and then we might have a little bit of a discussion about them. So the first one, the remote working revolution. I love this.
Well, yeah, because I mean, for the last few months, we've obviously all been told, work from home, we can't go into the offices, and I think it's really shifted that mindset and perception of how we do business now, a day-to-day activity. We've often looked at remote working from home as a solution, as something which we as a creative industry want to do. But it'd be interesting to get Alex's perspective on that and to see what the future working environment might be like.
Well, when it comes to the remote working concept, it's not new to a lot of us, or it shouldn't be new. And this is something which we've all really been technically able to do for a long time, but it's that shift in terms of mentality. And I'm hoping that a lot of owners, business owners, a lot of executives see what their people are doing right now, see how hard they're working, and realize you really don't need to have a big office. You don't need to have a physical location like once we thought we had to. And obviously that opens up a lot of opportunities in terms of how we work, where we work from. And obviously, if you're an SME, that means that you could, in theory, save a lot of money, because of the two big cost elements that any company has to deal with, not just SMEs, one is office rental. That's a huge cost.
But like one of the things, you touched on it, and it's a really interesting point, is it's perception. And it's shifting the mindset, because a lot of companies always had the perception that if you're working from home, you're not working. And I think the COVID times have shown, and Dan, you're a perfect person to talk about this as a SME yourself and having to have your staff go from home. The productivity levels, was it still there? Did it drop?
I think the productivity levels were still, I mean, obviously the level of work dropped because of the COVID crisis, but we often see that people are more productive by working in a creative environment, which is often not the office.
True.
Because unfortunately you get distracted by, a
I get
telephone
more work done at
call,
home.
the accountant coming to you asking for something. So I think as an industry, especially when it comes to events and creatives, I think this whole work from home environment, like Alex mentioned, is not new, but it's something which we should actively promote and really
perspectives
explore.
coming in.
100%.
Alex, do you feel that the perspectives coming in amongst big corporates? How's it been with Schneider, if I can ask?
I've been pretty lucky. My current firm and my previous firm both have had or have working from home policies. Schneider, there are people who live in Dubai. The office is in Dubai Silicon Oasis, and they will still work from home maybe 3 or 4 days a week. So. And they get on with the job. For me, it's even more convenient because I actually live in Abu Dhabi and I work in Dubai. So I'm one of those few people who does the opposite run. But you could think about the opportunity. You could, for example, be working in theory. Your location could be Dubai, but for us, you could work, say, from Ras Al Khaimah or Fujairah. You don't need to be tied to a certain location anymore. I think that's really liberating, especially in the creative industry, and you just open yourself up to doing much more by not being tied to a specific location. You've still got to find ways to work differently, because corporate culture or company culture is really based on people and bringing people together and finding the magic in terms of how people work and engage together. But there is still ways to try and get that done online. It's different, but I think just the whole concept of how remote working is going to come in and is going to transform the way that we deal with one another, and also the costs associated with it, really is going to liberate a lot of SMEs.
I tend to agree with you. I think the cost benefit is going to be a big driver here.
100%, but just on that note, as a business, I'm legally mandated in order to have my visas, I need an office space, like a physical location. So I think the discussion then needs to evolve to include, people like DMCC, who is my free zone, to have that conversation with them to reevaluate
It's a really good
that
point.
whole process. Because again, I don't personally need an office space. I work with creatives, so we can work from a coffee shop. It's our most creative environment. But in order to facilitate the visas I needed, we've often needed that space. So again, we potentially as a business can start looking at that and how we can almost potentially look at the space being much more of a creative hub, a gathering environment rather than a workplace. Because also as well, people do want to come together.
You need it though. You definitely need it.
Yeah.
I think a mixture of the two is the sweet spot.
Well, again, it's all these hybrid solutions. It's that
solutions.
mixture of the digital life with the real life and how we can marry them two together.
Brilliant. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to the next one, which was a future with less red tape.
That sounds like my ideal future.
Does that even exist? Is that really possible, Alex?
Look, it is not only possible, we should have done it a long time back. We don't need to file paperwork anymore. We don't need to do stuff in duplicate. We can do everything online. We've been talking, for example, about ideas such as blockchain for how many years now. Every time I see a news piece on tech, it has blockchain in there. Let's do away with all the paperwork. Let's make it easier. Let's reduce the costs. Because again, if you're not doing any paperwork, likewise, you don't need government offices. So that makes it so much easier for all of us. Having to go down, spend half a day or a day filing paperwork, we can do away with all of that. Let's just simply go paperless, and let's do it now. This is the right time to bring this concept in.
Well, I think to Alex's point, this is the time. And I mean, we've had multiple discussions with many people within our industry and within events, and looking at ways how we can simplify and make the process much more efficient, especially when it comes to DTCM permits, for example, which is a big stumbling block.
It's all going online, though. To be fair, Smart to Buy is a remit.
It has, but also as well,
paperless.
I mean, completely, it has gone paperless. The process is still a little bit bureaucratic, and there is an element of red tape there. And I know that many people are looking for creative solutions where you can still have the intended outcome of that process, but by doing it in a much more simplified way, which enables, especially especially in the current environment, freelancers, SMEs, to be able to become more efficient and to do business more efficiently, and hopefully that way we can give a bit of a boost to the economy and really get things moving again.
Well, hopefully things will move
very soon.
Now, the next one is one close to your heart, Dan. Improved cash flow.
Like when I saw this, I was like, oh no.
Alex, before Dan starts off, let me give you a chance to talk this one through.
Right, I think this is a pain point that every single company will feel, especially SMEs. Your cash flow is your lifeblood. And often the biggest challenges are dealing with the procurement departments, particularly in certain parts of the region, and especially let's call it a spade, especially dealing with government. There is a huge opportunity for governments to step in and support SMEs by saying, guys, we're going to make the procurement process easier, and even more importantly, we are going to pay on shorter times.
I think that's actually a really big call.
Oh, sorry, I think Alex was
Sorry, say that again, Alex.
I'm just going to end on it, just say that it would liberate all of us. It would make a huge transformation to the economy if people are getting paid quicker and earlier.
Do you know what? That's actually a very good point. I'm glad you mentioned that today, is because I've got the perfect example.
Great debate.
It's a great debate, and it's something which will open a can of worms. But we got a inquiry today, which is incredible because we've had 3-4 months of absolutely nothing, to be honest.
Congratulations.
Well, hopefully we can get it signed off. We can convert. But at the end of the inquiry was, we will pay you 60 days after the event completion. The event's not due to complete in August, which means realistically we might not be getting paid up until November. But the reality
is... Will you even exist then?
Well, this is the question. The reality is that people need cash flow. And as Alex rightly mentioned, cash flow is the lifeblood of any business. And we've gone through a period where no cash flow has been happening really within the events and creative industry.
It's not even now. It's always been the case. As you said, Alex, when you deal with government, but this is where the topic becomes really interesting. As government, and having worked with government, it's legally a requirement. So it's a much bigger discussion. It's a much higher conversation. It's about changing legalities.
Yeah.
So even as government entities, even if they wanted to, by default, they must say 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
So it's a very big discussion, but a very important one, because you can't, asking companies and small SMEs to cash flow a project.
Well, this is the thing, especially when we've not had cash flow for
100%.
4 months. It's practically impossible, and many of the small, creative, individual SMEs and the freelancers that we work with, which are vital to our industry,
it's a domino effect, isn't it?
Will just cease to exist.
Yeah. But you've had positive response.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously, on that note, you push back and you question and query the points of why you need that 60 days. And as Alex mentioned, we need to get that cash flow happening quicker. So the positive response is, let's open that discussion. We'll have that conversation with the potential client of how we can move that further forward, and hopefully that will inject some activity within our industry.
Well, Alex, I guess you're right. If Dan's getting positive feedback when he gives pushback, then I guess we are going in the right direction.
But it's about pushback in the right way,
of course.
And just giving a solution to that and explaining why that needs to happen.
Which leads beautifully into your last point, which was a real sense of community. Alex, I absolutely love this last point, and I think in these times and in COVID times and in the time that we're in now, this is something that will be a positive that comes out of it.
Well, I want to throw something in before that.
Please do.
Because it's still on the issue of money. Now, one element is obviously getting paid on time, or getting paid as quickly as possible. And that really helps not only the SME, but also as well, it helps the clients, because SME then isn't worried about cash flow.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend all your time focusing on that issue and distracting from getting the good work done. But also this idea of making it simpler when it comes to costs, essentially taxation. So we all pay a lot of fees here, and we pay fees for various things, various services, and we pay based on the service. But maybe a simpler model, which would be a huge help to SMEs, is looking at the idea of a taxation system which is all about proportional taxation. So if you're a small company, you pay a smaller amount than, say, if you're a bigger company. And this would really open the way for, first of all, people paying what is fair and due, but also as well others looking at just the basic elements of setting up a company and operating it, because you've got all of these initial costs which really do mount up. So you're actually helping significantly this whole notion of people getting into entrepreneurship and setting up their own firms, because they don't see that big initial cost as being such a barrier then, because it won't be there.
You're absolutely right. I accidentally, or maybe on purpose, missed the one about taxation.
But it is
nobody likes taxation.
It's a very interesting discussion, because we've lived in a tax-free society, allegedly, for a long period of time. But the reality is, like Alex mentioned, there's numerous fees which make it cost prohibitive to do business. So now is an opportunity, because of the situation that we're in, to streamline that and to look at cost-effective ways. Again, making that fair proportional representation, so that people pay into a system. And it would be very interesting then to say, if we were to go through such a similar circumstance in the future, of how entities can then step in and support various industries of the economy which are impacted the most, as we have seen with furlough schemes or
this is
grant
a perfect
schemes
example
or
of it,
things
right?
in other countries.
To make you want to pay tax.
Of course,
because if you had paid tax,
you pay into a system, and then hopefully when the bad times are bad, then that system can then be implemented or can contribute back, inject into supporting and rebalancing the economy and getting it further.
But it leads to another discussion, though, which is another whole discussion in itself. Is, well, a lot of people come to Dubai because of the lack of tax.
Very interesting, but again, the world is changing.
Fees.
You're paying fees, and ultimately it is some sort of taxation. The world is changing, so I think, as Alex mentioned, a fair and more streamlined system is something which should definitely be looked at and considered.
But Alex, do you think if we did go into a taxation system, that Dubai or the UAE would be less attractive to entrepreneurs?
Not at all, actually. I think the greater transparency will be a huge help, because the one thing that you want, I work in communications, the one thing I want people to understand is what is the reality versus what is the perception. And you build your reputation based on people's experiences, and if their experience is better than what they were hoping for, they will become your advocates. And Dubai is a brilliant place to set up a business. It has so many benefits, but I think having a simple taxation system where everybody pays their due based on their size, based on their success, actually helps everybody, because everybody then knows where they stand and what they owe.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Very good point.
Now can we get to my favorite point, the last one?
Community.
Alex, back over to you.
Right, we all love communities, and the biggest community in terms of the business sector is surprise. It's SMEs.
It has been a surprise.
Sorry, what was that?
It has been a surprise. Like the people that we've been speaking to, when they realize how much of the UAE business is SME, the people have been surprised. So that's what I love about this last point that you have. You bring up statistics that a lot of people didn't know.
Look, it's the biggest in terms of the number of businesses. It's the biggest in terms of workforce. SMEs account for 51% of the workforce in the Emirate, and in terms of contribution, it's the largest piece of the pie, so to speak, contributing 46% of Dubai's GDP. So SMEs are everything to Dubai.
They are indeed, and that's why I think
that's more of a reason to support.
Exactly, more of a reason to support, and that's why these conversations and the articles and the features and the discussions with the associations are vital, because SMEs are the lifeblood of any economy, and in order to recover from the impacts and the challenges of the last few months in particular, we need SMEs and entrepreneurs to thrive, because they're going to be the business leaders of the future and create the opportunities and the employment which we're all looking for.
Well, on that point, I think it's fantastic, because you're throwing the gauntlet now. So a lot of the associations are stepping up, are having to step up. are having to come together and be the community. A lot of, you have a lot of associations that are there, and you've got the membership, and it's got some nice events and this, that, and the other. But this whole COVID has made them really step up, pull up their socks, and represent
100%. And we need tangible solutions now and practical way forward to really drive our economy and bring that community together. And the events industry, as we all know, is one of the most fragmented and opinionated, but it's really refreshing to see now that we're all coming around to one common goal, which is ultimately the survival of our industry and how we can work collectively together to better the opportunities in the environment and the economy moving ahead.
Alex, thank you so much for your 5 cents worth. For us, it's been a lot more than 5 cents, I have to say.
Yeah.
And
as I say, it has indeed, and we're really looking forward to seeing future features and articles, Alex, and we'd love to hear more.
We'll have you back on the show.
I'm looking forward to it, and on that note, I really want to hopefully return and talk about what SMEs are doing together, working as one, to improve the business climate in the country. So SMEs, it's your turn to step up.
It is indeed. I mean,
that's you, Dan.
It is me. I'm personally, we're working on it, and I know many people are really passionate to do that, so we would definitely love to be able to give you a positive update in the not too distant future.
Brilliant. Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and we will have you back.
Yep. Thank you so much, Alex, and we will see you soon.
Brilliant. Appreciate it. Thanks very much.